The only difference is the head is changed.
And we are underway, and we find Ether right away in Link's house and a piece of heart in the sanctuary chest. And I didn't get a chance to say this, so ladies and gentlemen, Hyrule, are you ready for some rando?
So Gemini using the strat here in order to pick up the sign to kill this blue guard. In order to get the item from the tree pool, is hoping for either rupees or bombs. Not just single rupees, though.
No, not what he was hoping for there.
And Ginger is going to do the same thing over by the Lumberjack Cave.
Indeed, we're also going to see Uncle. Ooh, he's got a small key for Castle Tower. That already puts Agahnim Tower in play if we find the Master Sword or Cape later on.
And the Hoarder drop is actually 8 bombs, which is really great.
That's going to save him a ton of money. We find the lamp in Uncle's cave, and we find a small key in the Lumberjack Cave. Uh-oh, that's a tease.
So, vanilla lamp location, interestingly enough. So we're going to get to see here what is in the Lost Woods. Knocking that bird out of the way, and Ginger, knowing that the Hoarder is just the 8 bomb drops and not needing any bombs with 10 already, is just going to leave it behind. So, interestingly enough, there's the mushroom.
Hashtag fetch quest.
Interestingly enough, though, they have the lamp, they have a castle tower. They have a castle tower key. We could see them end up picking up either a sword, either 2 swords or a sword and a cape, and might be hopping into Aga Tower. At the moment, they currently have the Ether Medallion, but without having a sword, they're not actually able to use it. So, still no weapons besides bombs.
Yeah, that could cause some problems later. We'll see if they get lucky here, as Gingerdamus now going to head into Blind's hut. Thankfully, those bomb packs going to come into play very quickly here. That's going to save him a lot of money, since with Keysanity, money is a lot harder to come by in many cases. But we find, if he didn't have bombs, he's got them now. Big 20. Another big 20. Oh, there's our money. And a small key to Ganon's Tower.
Ugh. Small keys to Ganon's Tower this early on are one of the worst things to see. You kind of want to see those later on. Big key, though, for Dark Palace. That's a nice one to find. But they're going to be looking for small keys, like for Swamp Palace, small keys for Thieves, or a small key for Thieves Town, one for Ice Palace, lots for Pod, lots for Turtle Rock. You don't really want to see any small keys for Skullwoods or Misery Mire, because you don't actually need any of those.
Indeed.
So,
starting off with the well here, we find a piece of heart there in the first chest. Let's head to the back, and what do we find? We get
the hook shot.
That's always nice to find early there. Ooh, and 300 rupees to boot, and we've got
the Ganon's Tower big key.
That is something you really like to find early. That means they won't have to go digging around for it. Ginger must be feeling really good finding that.
Another small key? Oh, no.
That's not what we want.
That is Aga Tower basically screaming at you, saying, you better find those 2 swords fast, because you know you're going to be going to Aghanim's Tower.
Yeah,
that small key there.
Yeah, especially since we also found the lamp early on. That's almost screaming that Aga Tower is going to be confirmed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not something these runners want to see.
So they're going to find, in what I think is they're going to find some swords, and they're going to find the boots fairly soon. And that key that's sitting at Aga Tower is something of significant importance in the logic. That is generally what happens. It could also, though, be extreme luck that they just happen to get those 2 keys. But it's really rare that something like that happens. So we have Ginger, who's going to be going into the maze game without actually checking the prize. A fairly common strat nowadays with so many so many items available early on. Having to walk over here and check when there's such a high probability of it being something good. And our heart container, that's actually something that's really nice to pick up this early on, because with green mail, any little bit of extra life does help. So
yeah, you definitely don't want to get caught with too little health, especially when you have to deal with some of the tougher bosses like Mothula, which I've seen many of runners suffer through when they have low health and no mail.
Exactly.
So Ginger now going to make his way over to the dam. Check out the chest inside, drain the dam, and find out what's hiding underneath. Let's see what soggy item we find this time.
So having the hook shot, you're able to actually do a glitch here in order. Wow, there's sword number 1.
Yep, that Agahnim one's looking better and better now.
Yep. So you're actually able to use the hook shot to hook shot through that chest there. We might see Gemini do it here. The tiles are actually on a separate layer when they're stationary, but as they're moving, they change to a sprite, and you can actually hook shot through it here, which is exactly what Gemini just did. So that's actually fairly common strat you'll see when you get hook shot fairly early. But yeah, they're looking for a cape or another sword, and then they'll have access to Agahnim. I doubt we'll see them go there, though, until they find those boots.
Yeah, you want to make sure you have those boots so you can get to the Lumberjack Cave very quickly. But let's see what we find here in the mini Moldorm Cave. One of the few main hotspots for items in here in these randomizer races. Oh, tried to use a bomb strap, but neither Moldorm was playing nice with him on that one. That's giving Gemini a chance to kind of catch up on that regard.
Ooh, and a full magic. There you go. Pick it up.
Take that. Let's see what we find here. Starting things off, we find a big 20. Moon Pearl! Fire Rod! Oh, another big 20. And a small key to Turtle Rock.
Oh. And one of the other things that they're going to need to find, if, let's say, Aga Tower is their access to Dark World, they're going to need some way to get across to the other side of the other side of Hyrule, Dark Hyrule. Oh no, Gemini taking a death from the crab.
Oh, those crabs can be brutal. Too hard to damage per hit with green mail. Yeah, you can die very quickly to those things. So unfortunately, he's probably not going to be able to check the Ice Rod Cave just yet, and he better hope that there's nothing there, as Gingerdamus is about to find out.
Yeah, so what they'll need, if, let's say, like I was saying before, if Aga Tower is something that's required as their Dark World access point, they're going to need either flippers or a lift upgrade in order to make that logic something that's necessary. So Ginger opting to go up to the witch already to drop in that mushroom.
No, that's Gemini, actually, that's heading that way.
Sorry. Too many G's here.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling. But
literally,
yeah,
GG.
Nicely done. Gemini now turning into mushroom. Ginger finishing up the ice rock. It looks like he's going to set for fake flippers to check out the hobo, Ira Island. Since we've got that moon pearl, we can do the water walking glitch. And just a piece of heart from the mushroom, so not quite much worth there. All right, let's see what's on Lake Hylia Island. Ooh, a small key. We might be picking that up later once we find the mirror.
So Ginger doing a sequence break at the moment, not having flippers. We know that whatever he's going to find in these few areas here, probably going to be checking the hobo reverse fake flipper out to the waterfall fairy cave. These items cannot block off the flippers, so
just a big 20, unfortunately. No, he's not going to fake flipper back. He's going to save and quit. Bit of a shock there. While Gemini is making his way over to the dungeon area of escape, something that a lot of runners may forget to do if they get a lot of early items like we've seen, but you don't want to pass this up because I've seen plenty of good items hiding in here. And we got to start off, we get a small key to pot. Like I said, you definitely don't want to miss out on those.
No, pod requires 6 keys in the logic in order to actually be able to complete it. So there is, I guess, key number 1.
Yeah, plus we got that big key earlier too, so that pays off now. Ginger now heading over to the Eastern Palace area. Gonna check Sir Hossela's closet, maybe even get some info on where the green pendant is hiding, which can make some difference in Keysanity. And it's in Skull Woods. Ooh, that's not good. Find 300 rupees there in the dungeon, and in Sir Hossela's closet we have, ooh, big key to desert, Fisher Price shield, and a piece of heart.
And looks like Gemini is going to be going into the basement here. Gemini might want to set up the death warp because having the lamp, you're able to actually get the item that is in the sewers while you're already here. It's not a bad strat. Like, keeping that guard alive is definitely part of that strat. He's going to want to run into the guard here or not.
Probably going to hit the green.
Oh,
the bow!
The bow! And instead saves and quit, so it doesn't look like we're going to get that sewer check at least immediately, but having the bow is really nice. No big key for Eastern Palace, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they might not find it in Eastern Palace.
Well, we may find out soon as Gingerdamus is making that play, and it looks like Gemini's not following suit here. He'll be in there very shortly. So we're about to see if we've done the trolley thing in Keysanity, putting an item in its vanilla dungeon. 10 arrows to start things off here for Gingerdamus.
So, and with Keysanity, because we haven't even found a single map yet, we do not know whether or not this is a crystal or a pendant dungeon. And that's one of the different features of Keysanity is picking up maps is actually useful. It shows you on the map whether or not the dungeon is a crystal or a pendant. So
yeah, and before you even get say, well, what about the music? Nope, that doesn't work here. The music is also randomized, so even if it's a crystal dungeon, it may have pendant music and vice versa. And we find a map to Skull Woods there for Gingerdamus.
Yeah, but we already know that's a green pendant, so useless information.
Old news, my friend.
Yep.
All right, so Gemini now working his way into Eastern. Ginger setting up the skeleton room. If you set this up right, you only have 2 skeletons spawn and can kill them before they even pop up, just like that. And Master Sword!
The Master Sword, yep. That is our Aga access here. Now, you can officially climb up Aga Tower. Again, I still feel like they're missing an item to make that play. They'll be looking for either a lift upgrade or could even be hammer, but a lift upgrade, hammer, flippers, one of those things, or boots even, to get that small key. There's not a lot you can do in the dark world if you don't have one of those items, so I don't see them making that play for a little bit.
Well, unfortunately, Gingerdamus now getting some items here in the dark room. Now, bear in mind, he did not go to Uncle, so he does not have the lamp from that chest. But he's able to get through without too much trouble as he makes his way over to the vanilla big key chest. Sets up the damage boost there, gets through, and finds a small key to pod.
So that's key number 2. So I feel like Ginger at this point is probably going to head over to the castle area, and that's where Gemini is going to find the second castle tower small key. So at that point, already being over here might be the first one up to Aga Tower. But not going over to the uncle first, or maybe...
I think he's thinking about it. There he goes. He's going.
There we go. Setting up the tree pull and gets arrows. Well, that's nice to have for that bow that he's going to be picking up.
That's very true. Bear in mind, folks, that the tree pool is on a tiered system for this randomizer. For every certain amount of enemies you kill, it changes what the tree pool will give you, and that would be the tier 3 pool there. So, unfortunately, it looks like we won't be seeing too many more tree pools from here on out as Ginger now heads over and he's about to pick up his lamp.
and bombs the chest. He knows what that means. He's like, well, I just got another castle tower key and the lamp, so Aga is now in play. So at this point, I wonder if he's thinking, should I just go into Aga? Because it's pretty much almost guaranteed required at this point. Or go and do the other things.
He's actually heading upstairs. He's going into the back end into the sewers to check that dark room. He's got that lamp now, so he can check that chest like you were suggesting earlier.
Yeah.
This could be something interesting. We don't know what this is yet. And Gemini heading back over to the Ice Rod Cave, going to be very disappointed, have to go all the way back out here only to find a big 20 waiting for him.
Ooh, those crabs, though, are not giving Gemini any leeway. Oh my god!
Oh, that was clutch.
Ay, ay, ay.
I do not envy Gemini right now as we find another big 20 in the sewers, unfortunately.
You're gonna have to take the death
He doesn't have the key. Yeah, he doesn't have the key, or else he'd probably go to the back end of his escape, check the 3 chests there, but without the key or a bomb, it's kind of pointless.
So now Ginger needs to go and do the Zelda dungeon portion to get his bow.
Which it looks like he is going to do. He's going to be very happy that he went out of his way for this. Again, this is one of those areas that if you don't get it immediately at the beginning, you tend to forget about it. And I have seen many of runners lose races because they forgot to check this one spot.
Especially with sometimes not having lamp early, you end up not remembering that you haven't checked that back cross room, the dark cross room in sewers. And Gemini is setting up a very nice fake flipper here. So one of the features in, one of the interesting minor glitches in this game is the fake flipper. So the game actually it takes 2 frames for Link to drown. So if you jump into the water and immediately change screens, it actually doesn't register that you are drowning. And because you transitioned over, the game thinks, well, if they're in the water already, they must already have the flippers. So you're able to actually flipper around the area without requiring the flippers.
Yeah, but you do have to be careful. If you take any hit while in the water, we have the developers of the randomizer have set it up so that it's an instant death. Even if you have a fairy in possession, it will still give you a game over, because otherwise it would soft lock your game if you didn't.
Yep.
All right, Ginger now about to pick up his bow here. He's going to be very happy, setting his bomb up for a quick death warp. And Gemini is going to be the first person to head into the Waterfall of Wishing, using a secondary trick to go along with the fake flipper. If you go into this cave while fake flippered and you have a moon pearl in your possession, the game will register you as back on the ground. And then when you come back out, it will still think you're on solid ground. So you'll be able to actually water walk from here on out until you either save and quit or take a hit, in which case it'll actually re-register in the proper place, as Ginger now makes his way into Aga Tower.
Ooh, a small key on the ledge by Zora. Without the flippers, we are not able to actually determine what that is. There is a way to, again, fake flipper over there, but it's not something that most runners know how to do. I think you might also need the boots to do it. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I believe so. All right, let's see what the big fish has. It's
the cane!
Oh, someone call Phantom Ryu, because that's gotta be Kane!
The cane of Samaria. Interestingly enough, pretty good weapon sometimes, especially for the blind fight.
Absolutely. Very good find there. And that is definitely worth 500 rupees there. 5-arrow upgrade for Gingerdamus here in the Aga Tower. Hasn't found much, but again, at this point, we almost assume that this needs to be done, because at best, we could find maybe one glove upgrade if we went to like Agahnim's cave or something. All right, so Gemini now going to head into the back end of the sewers area of escape to check that item. Not going to find much back there, but figures route that in before you run the Aga Tower play, just so you don't forget it later.
So I just want to point out something that I saw mentioned in chat earlier, but without finding the small key for Hyrule Castle, the bow is in fact not in the logic at this point. So because you're able to take the small key from the lower part, like killing the guards and other things from the basement in order to access the back area of escape, it's to prevent a soft lock.
Yeah, but nonetheless, you know, you're definitely not going to think about that when going down there. You know you're going to be able to find all the keys you need, so why worry about something like that?
Well, it is actually fairly interesting because it means that it could also play into the logic. So they can use that to determine, okay, well, something like the key for Hyrule Castle, which could potentially lead to the items in the back of Escape, isn't going to be in Eastern or potentially Pod or other things like that.
Speaking of Pod, we didn't comment on this, but they also found another Pod key in the Aga Tower. But now it's time for Ginger to take on Agahnim. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a guessing game for this. How many blue balls is our wizard going to throw at us today?
I'm going to hope none. For the runners.
For the runner's sake, you hope none. If done correctly, the maximum a runner could potentially get if they do everything perfect is 15 blue balls. So that's your high rate number there. Because the first shot is guaranteed to always be a regular shot, but then from here it's all a matter of how many times he decides to mess with you. There's one. There's two. And of course, after this, there's guaranteed to be a lightning blast. And I believe after every lightning blast, the next shot's also guaranteed to be a returnable shot.
Oh no, Gemini taking a death.
Oh no!
Having to climb back up Aga Tower again. Gemini, unfortunately, having a couple unfortunate deaths so far. With what we were referring to, Gemini did skip out on that maze the maze heart container. And you see early on, if you don't get a lot of hearts, sometimes it can be a little bit tough with enemies punching you in the face every couple seconds.
Indeed. Gingerdamus now finishing off Agahnim. 3 blue balls was the number this time. And what it's waiting for him up here, just a triple bomb pack. But he's a little short on bombs, so he's going to go ahead and pick that up.
So it looks like at this point, Ginger's only option is to go to Pod. With the bow, getting quite a few chests already.
It's true. Yeah, what's sad is normally you would at least be able to check Catfish, but you need at least the Power Glove to do that. We don't even have that yet, almost half an hour in. That's actually pretty rare. But indeed, as Gemini continues his second attempt up the Aga Tower, Ginger now going to work his way over to everyone's favorite little extortionist, Kinky the Monkey. 110 rupees down the drain. Chat thinking the trolliness of having a Hyrule Castle key in Pod.
It could be in the first. It could be in the first chest. Or the one that you drop down to. I don't know how much farther it can go because I didn't recall how many keys we got before. Ooh, Gemini.
Close there. All right, so Ginger now making his way down in Pod here as Gemini getting ready to take on the wizard. Let's see what Ginger finds here in our first chest, and he finds Blue Mail.
So we have Gemini, who's now entering the Aga 1 fight.
Yep, he's going to get the same pattern that Ginger did, so as long as he does everything right, he should only get 3 blue balls. And thankfully, unlike Aga 2, it's a lot easier to keep up and make sure you get a straight hit on him, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get every hit on him.
So Ginger, having the bow, is going to opt to try to go over here to save keys. The only problem is, without the hammer, he's not going to be able to get down to the lower portion, so he's going to be forced to use a small key on that middle door unless he finds a hammer in here.
Never know, though. The trolliest thing Randomizer can do is to put an item in its vanilla location, like we said earlier, so that could always be the case. So we're going to get through this conveyor hallway here.
I think setting up a death warp because no mirror.
Yeah, it could be the case.
Oh, thank goodness that was not a full heart refill. And Gemini, killing Aga 1, going to be heading over to the pyramid and finds a small key for Pod.
Hey, that's always nice fun.
So that's actually a feature in the current version of the Keysanity. That's actually changing in version 29. In version 29, you're going to actually see a pop-up that says, you found a key to this dungeon, instead of just no text at all. Fun fact. Ooh, big key for Ice Palace.
Hey, doesn't really do too much. Just if you know your way around, you don't need the big key, but at least allows you to check the big chest without too much trouble.
So these last couple chests here that we're about to see, this the 2 in the basement and then the one that Ginger is about to get, is the only ones currently in the logic. The remaining chests, unless he finds more keys, you're not going to be able to really determine. There you go. Small key for Turtle Rock, not the small key for Pod.
No, but Turtle Rock small keys are still pretty helpful, so not the worst thing he could have found.
So last chest here is the Power Glove. There we go.
Oh, I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
So we'll probably see Ginger try to do the hammer jump here. We saw Ginger practicing it before the race, so we'll get to see how this plays out.
Yeah, the hammer jump has become a lot more popular in Keysanity because of how conservative you have to be with keys in this race.
Ooh, and once that bomb starts exploding, it's actually really difficult to position yourself. I think he's got it there. Yep. And gets the tempered sword.
Ooh, Cheeto sword. Very nice. Plus, he gets to check 2 more chests here in the dark maze. And another heart container.
And 20 rupees.
Very nicely done.
So he's going to want to take the death here instead of going out towards the door, because in order to leave this room, you actually need to use the key. So there's one more place in Pod he can check at the moment. And looks like that's exactly where he's going.
The more chests you can check, the better, so that way you can minimize the chance of running into trouble later on if you don't find all the keys you need.
He is instead falling down the hole to get this. It would have been better if he had gone to the vanilla big key. Oh no! What are you doing?
He might be waiting until he has more keys to feel more confident checking that chest. That's the best guess I can come up with.
Well, the thing is there was that yeah, we'll just leave it at that.
Indeed. But Gingerdamus now gonna head over. Looks like he's gonna check the back end of Escape. Now that he's got that power glove, he can open up this graveyard.
He also has
see what he
access.
finds down here.
He also has access currently to East Death Mountain with the gloves, the lamp, and the hookshot. Finding a hammer would be nice at this point. Map of Thieves Town.
Map of Thieves Town, a compass for Thieves Town. Wow, there's map and compass next to each other, plus a piece of heart. But yeah, most likely now his next stop will be indeed Death Mountain. Like you said, East Death Mountain is accessible to him, and that's got 7 straight items. That is the other major hotspot for items here in these randomizer races. It's, heck, I like to call Paradox Cave the new hype cave because that tends to be a big hotspot for items.
Yeah, there was a lot of items there the other day. It just seems like with the five items up there, it's just crazy the amount of times that there's at least 1 or 2 things that are needed, if not 4.
Plus, we've got the old man here, which thankfully we have the lamp, so he is in the logic. We can find out what he has. What is his escort fee this time?
So, we were talking earlier about that Hyrule Castle key. So we know that Hyrule Castle key is floating around somewhere that was previous to having to go into pod. So that might actually make them not go and check Agahnim's cave because of the fact that currently that's one of the places that it could have been. And so that would make that location pretty useless. And it had to have been before they went into the Dark World. So that could save them a bit of time if they opt to not check that location.
Makes
so that's
sense.
that's how you play the logic game in Randomizer.
It's like I've always said, it's about what routes you take, what gambles do you make, and which ones pay off. And obviously that's a route they're probably not going to be doing. Ooh, we got a small key on Spectacle Rock. Let's see what's inside its cave. We've got... Oh, heart container. We might pick that up because we're running a little low on health these days.
It is, it's something interesting on whether or not you'd go out of the way. That item is a good at least 3 seconds to get. So it depends, I guess, on if you can make up that 3 seconds in the run by having that heart container. So they do have blue mail. Now they have 7 hearts, I think. Yeah, Ginger has 7 hearts, so it could be interesting if they find red mail, whether or not they're going to go out of their way so far to check and to grab another heart container.
Yeah, I mean, they already have blue mail, so their defenses are a little bit better off, but again, with some of the tougher bosses that are yet to come, it's the more safety you have, the better. But now Ginger's going to be making his way over to East Death Mountain and see the treasure trove that awaits him, and hopefully he'll find something really good. Considering how few items we've actually found so far, there's a good chance we'll find something here.
All right, we're going to get to see Paradox Cave and Gemini saving and quitting. Probably going to be heading to Sanctuary now to also head up Death Mountain.
Most likely. Let's see how this goes. All right, let's see what the Paradox Cave has for us. Running off, we get half magic. Very nice find there for Ginger. Always want to find that early when you can put it to use. So considering we haven't gotten any crystals yet, good find.
Using the beam swords, or using the sword beams in order to access the crystal switch there.
Finds a single rupee, the single arrow, 10 arrow pack, piece of heart,
wow,
and a compass to Misery Mire. Wow, kind of a disappointing Paradox Cave.
Yeah, that was not as hype as I was expecting it to be. Nice setup for the bomb jump here.
Perfectly executed there. But this does mean that the original hype cave could actually be some hype this time. Let's see what we have here on the floating island. Ooh, heart container. That's tempting.
So we don't have a Tower of Hera. We don't have a Tower of Hera key. We don't have hammer. So we're not going to be going over to the left side of Death Mountain here. But Spiral Cave still in the logic. With that glove, now you also have access to all of the left side of Dark World because you're able to lift the rock and hook shot over to the left side. So we might see the runners go there as their next option because that's a lot of items that you can get. Unfortunately, just a bomb inventory upgrade in the Spiral Cave, having to do that Spiral Cave without the boots is rough, especially when it does not pay off to be something good. So we have Gemini who's going to be going to get their half magic. Pretty much that's it on Death Mountain. So Ginger actually setting up the fake flippers here. If you use a bomb right next to the screen, or you bomb yourself towards the screen, it puts you on the exact pixel you need in order to jump into the water and fake flipper. So Ginger actually hasn't delivered the mushroom yet. We did see earlier on Gemini's screen that it was unfortunately nothing useful. But we'll get to see again here. So you drop off the mushroom and screen transition, go back and check the item inside the witch's hut. You must screen transition, you can't just walk into the house, otherwise there won't be an item there. She basically tells you to come back later in the vanilla game, and by come back later she means walk a screen away and come back. So Ginger, I believe, is probably going to go... Actually, I'm curious where Ginger is going. Might be fake flippering over to Zora. Because I believe that Ginger had actually just gone to Hobo, didn't reverse fake flipper. So Ginger didn't actually check Zoro. Ginger didn't check Zora, and also hasn't checked the waterfall cave. So Ginger trying to set up, here we go, the fake flippers, and gets it. Very nicely done. And I believe Gemini is going to be the first one to make that play over to the right side of Death Mountain. Or Death Mountain. Right side of Hyrule in the Dark World. So one of the other interesting things, once you defeat Agahnim, you actually... the enemies in the overworld change a bit. So you have to keep that in mind while traversing? Yeah, there we go. Traversing the overworld. In the light world, some of those red guards are very, very aggressive. So, able to go check Catfish. Gemini is heading over there now. Catfish is one of those items that's pretty far out of the way. So, if he's got something good, that could be really good for Gemini. So Ginger picking up the Cane of Samaria. And Gemini going to be throwing in the skull into the catfish area. You can throw the skull. I think you can even throw the sign up there. Ooh, gets a small key for Ice Palace.
Okay, I think I'm back here.
Welcome back. So, logic requires the small key and the big key in order to be able to complete Ice Palace. So, interestingly enough, we're starting to see our way over towards the ice palace in the ice palace in the logic plays here.
Ooh, that's always troublesome too, because that's not a dungeon a lot of runners like to do early on if they can help it.
We haven't we don't have the hammer, so we haven't had a chance to go visit the bomb shop. This will be our first time over to the left side of oh my gosh, if I say that again. Left side of Hyrule Castle, Dark Hyrule Castle, or Dark Hyrule, goodness gracious. Okay.
Left side Dark World, that's what you're trying to get at.
That's it. English is hard, guys. It looks like Gemini is actually heading up towards Skull Woods instead.
Oh, well, we do have the fire rod.
Yep.
So I can see the logic behind this idea here. We don't have the big key, so we're going to miss out on the big chest. But if that's the only thing you're missing, that's easy enough to go back and check later if you find it. So I can see this being a smart play.
Yep. And it doesn't need the big key to be able to complete Skullwoods. We do know it's a green pendant, so maybe Sahashala has something good for us.
That's always a possibility, and that may be what Gemini is thinking, checking this out. Figure get that green pendant, see what Sahashala has, and maybe benefit off of that. Though with only 7 hearts, even though it's blue mail, that could be tricky.
Yeah, the spikes will always do the same amount of damage to you, whether or not, like, no matter what mail you're using. But with the higher tier mail upgrades, it's easier to get in Mothula's face and take the damage from Mothula, because it's sometimes less than the spikes. So we'll get to see here. There's with Kane and Samaria making this block on the switch, able to save a little time, not having to push that statue while dodging the Gibdos and the Wallmaster, and finding the big key for Swamp Palace.
Hey, that's always a nice thing to find. Definitely not a bad play there. Of course, that big key for Swamp's going to be kind of useless until we find its smaller counterpart to it, but you never know. At least that way when we get there, they can check the big chest.
And they do have half magic, so... Oh, Ginger making the fall there, trying to hookshot to the skull.
Gotta be careful there.
Trolly.
All right, Gemini now in the back end of Skull. Going to check the chest first. This is something that's become a little more common in Keysanity. Normally, you would save this for after defeating Mothula to be safe, but with Keysanity, you don't want to make that risk. And finds the map to Hyrule Castle. That's useless.
Yeah, one of the 2 useless maps in the game. Hyrule Castle. I guess now we know where Hyrule Castle is.
Well, we know what Hyrule Castle looks like on the inside anyway, but still. It's better used as firewood at this point. Good kindling.
A burrito. It's Link's lunch.
Hey, there you
go. So we just found Link's lunch. And the other burrito, Ganon's Tower burrito, is his dinner. So Link loves burritos.
Don't know if you know that or not.
Yeah. So we're seeing Gemini going to be heading towards Mothula fairly quickly, needing to get the key from the Gibdo here, picking up the heart on the way, and getting rid of the heart now because doesn't want those beams from the sword. It'll actually do less damage than the tempered sword itself. So taking damage here is better than taking damage inside the Mothula fight. And very, very nicely done by Gemini.
That was a
nails that Mothula fight.
Gets a big 20 for it, and there's his green pendant.
So, not really anything of significant value in Skullwoods. But we still don't know what that green pendant item is. So Sahashala might have something good.
Let's see if Gingerdamus can do any better there. I don't know if you can, but let's see if he can at least match that, because he's heading into the back end of Skullwoods now. Let's see what Gemini decides to do next. Most likely Village of Outcasts, since it's right there.
Yep. No mirror and no book, so can't check the pedestal at this point, which probably means we won't be seeing a pedestal check at all, unless they come down to looking for one particular item. We do know that we've already got the Ganon's Tower big key. That was found really early this seed. So Ginger is actually setting up to keep a lot of their magic. Going to be using the fire rod here, which means that might see a little more fire rod stats from Ginger.
Certainly not a bad play to make. I mean, it's similar, close in damage to the Tempered Sword, and you get that extra range, so you don't have to worry about getting too close to Mothula and just have to focus on dodging the spikes. But no, he's going to play Tempered Sword strats. He was just going to have that as a safety.
And nicely done!
Both of our runners with an amazing fight on Mothula. Gemini finding a piece of heart there in the Sea House, as Ginger now picks up his green pendant.
Yeah, we also did see blue rupee on the bumper cave ledge, so we won't be seeing them going to get that anytime soon.
Probably not. Gemini now checking the chest game, finds 10 arrows and a small key to Ganon's Tower, which at this point is kind of useless, since you only need about, I think, 1 key once you find the big key.
Yep. You actually don't need any small keys for Ganon's Tower if you've already got the big key, because you're able to go downstairs. If you go to the left side, down the stairs, and then to the left, there's a small key under a pot. You can pick that up and go back up the middle of Ganon's Tower. So.
Okay. All right, Gemini now working on the front end of Thieves Town. We don't have the big key, so we can't check much, but there's the Titan's mitts!
Interestingly enough, in the vanilla dungeon, not in the vanilla spot.
Close enough, though. Still, yeah, we can only check these first 4 chests unless the big key just happens to be in here, which is always possible, but not likely. So we'll see what he finds here.
Yeah. And we must have gotten a map check at some point, because Thieves Town has been marked on our tracker as a red crystal. So that's actually interesting information.
Indeed.
And
there's there's the Skullwood's big key. What are the odds of that? God.
So
I love how this game likes to troll you.
Do you turn around and go back, or do you not? I don't think I would because of the Titan's mitts. I don't think he's got the big key for the... Where is he going?
We do not have the big key for Thieves Town just yet, as I was mentioning earlier.
He can't save and quit. He has to actually leave out the dungeon by walking, because no mirror, and if you save and quit, well, he's got the Titan's mitts. He can actually just save and quit to Sanctuary and just walk over here. It might be...
It'd still take about as long to get back to this area, so I don't blame him for not doing that. And at the end of the day, he's still got areas to check here. Gemini now checking the bombable hut here in Village of Outcasts and finds a small key. Oh, there it is. There's the Hyrule Castle key we were looking for earlier.
I just think it's funny we've been so obsessed with that key.
Even though at this point it is literally useless because we've gotten everything out of the castle. It just needs now that the logic is back in play. So now he's going to head over and pay a visit to good old Alec Baldwin, see what he digs up here in the digging game. So how many digs and what will he dig up from it?
Lots of digs. Thieves Town? Misery Mire. Misery Mire big key.
You would love to avoid having the big keys for either Misery Mire or Turtle Rock, because those are such painful dungeons to deal with. The less of those you have to do, the better. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and take Jeremiah on a Froggy World Tour here pretty soon.
Is that because Jeremiah was a bullfrog? Is that why we're calling him Jeremiah?
Well, he was a good friend of mine, so yeah.
Oh my god.
Is that another one of those references you've never heard until now?
Yeah.
I remember the clip when you first learned about the pod being called the Mullet Mansion. I got such a kick out of that.
So, I'm wondering if you can take... I wonder if you can take the bullfrog into the bomb shop. I don't know if I've ever done that.
Well, maybe we'll find out here in a minute, because that looks like where Gemini is going.
Yeah, it looks like you can.
Okay.
So that's good.
And we find out he's going to pick up some more bombs, and where...
Wait, no, you need to talk to the guy. He
What are you doing?
He tells you where the other red crystal is. Where are you going? Gemini, why would you do that?
Gemini!
What? You had more than enough bombs to open this. What are you doing?
Well, nonetheless, he's going to head into what I like to call the Prince Cave, because it's the artist formerly known as Hype Cave. But maybe it'll be Hype today, as we find Swagnet starting things off. That's okay. And then we find a compass for Turtle Rock, a heart container,
the Cane
of Brian, and a map to Ice Palace. I wouldn't exactly call that a trash cave, but I would far from call that a hype cave.
Cane of Brenna, if you find the hammer, could put the Spike Cave in logic.
That's
true. So we have Gemini picking up the Misery Mire Big Key. As Gemini is going to go drop off the Dwarfsmith. Bleh.
Let's see, I just had to reboot my router. I think at this point you might want to reboot your brain, considering how hard the word seems to be working on you. It's all right. We all have those days. I've had a couple of times where it's just like, I can't talk.
I always have those days. It's like every day for me.
My wife knows your pain. She's had those days too.
So let's see what the blacksmith has today. It's magic powder. No mirror, no hammer. Not going to be able to check it at the moment, but interesting. Like, here's some powder. We ground up your sword into dust. Here you go.
Okay, actually, I'm going to answer a question in chat here. Why do we refer to Pod as the Mullet Mansion? The reason why is because all of the keys are located like in open mode and standard mode. Most of the keys are located in the front of the dungeon, and most of the items that you could potentially find are often located in the back. So like any good mullet, it's business in the front, party in the back.
Yeah, because Pod has the high chance of key locking yourself very early on, it forces the logic to place at least 4 keys really early on in the dungeon. So you'll get at least 4 in the front. So that's why.
Yeah,
exactly.
You can thank Dr. Bob Tassick for coming up with that term, by the way. That was his idea. We find Red Shield in the big chest there in Skull Wood, so that big key was not exactly helpful.
We did also get a map check, so we got to see that Ice Palace was in fact a crystal. Thieves Town and Tower of Hera are our red crystals. And just remember, Gemini does not have that information because Gemini decided to skip out.
He's going to regret that later.
And that's one of the things that if you opt to save time by not talking to NPCs or not picking up maps, when it comes down to it, if you don't know whether or not a dungeon is a crystal or pendant and you're down to 2 dungeons, 1 crystal, 1 pendant, you could end up making the wrong call and and wasting a lot of time if you pick the wrong dungeon.
I've seen it happen here. Gemini now going to go check out the Super Bunny Cave and probably the Hookshot Cave, since we have the means to check both of those. And may even get to find out what medallion is required for Turtle Rock if we do need to, in fact, go to that dungeon for a crystal. And in case you're wondering, we call this the Super Bunny Cave because if you're a bunny, you can fall down the hole here and it basically treats you like you're not a bunny. Ooh, mirror! Nice find for Gemini there, finding the mirror. That opens up a lot of places for him in the Dark World. Now he's going to check over at Turtle Rock to find out what medallion is required.
Ether.
And it's Ether, which we actually have. So Turtle Rock is accessible. All right, when here, ooh, Mirror Shield. So we've got our full shields here. We find a map to pod. So now I can confirm whether that's a crystal. Flippers!
If we find Hammer, this is like the Swamp Palace care package here.
No kidding, but we also did find the map to Turtle Rock. So we could, if he checks his map, we could find out right now whether or not Turtle Rock is indeed a crystal.
Yeah.
Most likely it is at this point, but then again, we still have plenty of places left to check. He's going to mirror over, and is he going to go into Tower of Hera? I mean, he won't be able to check too much. He doesn't have any keys for it. But if he finds anything, it could be helpful.
Yeah, maybe finding a book. Could check the Ether tablet if he finds the book.
I've actually seen a play where the book was in like one of these two places in Tower of Heroes. We find a 10 bomb pack downstairs. They went back outside, checked the Ether tablet, and there was the big key for Hera right outside waiting.
Oh my goodness.
I'm not even kidding.
Wow,
Ooh,
the silvers! That's
now,
amazing.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's definitely something that is good to find. Tower of Hera, we know, is a red crystal. Gemini not having that information yet.
No, but he is going to check over here. He's going to grab the key here on Spectacle Rock to find out what it is. And it's for Ganon's Tower. That's a waste. And he's not opting to check Spike Cave, which is a bit of a surprise. He has half magic. He's got a decent amount of health. And he's got the Cane of Brian. Oh, wait, that's not the hammer. What am I talking
hammer.
about?
Yes.
No hammer.
You're not going to get very far in...
So you're not the only one whose brain needs a reboot every once in a while.
So we have Ginger who's going to be dropping off the lunchbox. So let's go and see what does our friendly flute.
Oh, the flute!
Ooh.
That is a heck of a find.
That is wow, all these birds. Yeah, finding the flute, actually, that's really good. If he goes up to Death Mountain and picks up that mirror, he's actually going to be able to hop into Desert. Does have the big key for Desert. No small key, so the dungeon, like completing the dungeon, is still out of the logic at this moment. But, yeah, this is definitely interesting.
No, but he's going to go ahead and check Agahnim's Cave here. Let's see what the Sage has for us here. Just a 5-arrow pack, upgrade pack. So that was a bit of a waste. Didn't bother checking the Desert Ledge, though. That might have been some good knowledge.
Might opt to do that once he has the ability to access Desert Palace, or even know if it's a crystal, maybe? It is a bit out of the way. Gemini is going to be checking the ledge behind the graveyard. One item in here.
Yeah, a lot of runners tend to forget this location. I mean, unless you have both the mirror and the boots, so you can also check the King's Tomb. But I've seen plenty of items hiding back here, and just a piece of heart.
So Ginger going to activate the flute. I wonder if that's going to lead Ginger up to, if it's going to lead Ginger over to the Misermire area, or if it's going to go and make an easier way to get up Death Mountain.
We shall see, but nonetheless, the goose is loose! All right, where's he going to go from here? He's going...
Misermire.
He's going to Mire.
Without the, who we might see him having to make 2 trips over here without the mirror.
And odds are good, he won't be able to go to Mire, because odds are good this won't be the same medallion. Which one is it? Nope, Bombos. Which we do not have. I had a feeling.
The amount of times that I have seen, though, the medallion required sitting right outside the dungeon is too high.
Let's see, we've got 50 rupees and big 20, so nothing but money there in the Mire Shack. As Gemini is going to go ahead and summon the magic bat. What's in our bat cave here?
And it is a green... Oh, that's actually nice. Green potion. That's our first bottle, so we're going to be able to check the sick kid now.
That is perfect timing on that one. Getting some Mountain Dew there.
And Ginger is going to be heading over to the East Death Mountain. Going to be hopping into the Dark World, going to Super Bunny Cave and probably Hookshot Cave.
Gonna get in that treasure trove of items on in there. Meanwhile, Gemini immediately wasting no time, turning in his bottle of the sick kid and getting 10 arrows for his troubles.
Not what he's looking for.
All right, well, since we're seeing a lot of similar routing here for both the runners, and since we're about an hour into our race here, I'd like to take this opportunity to let you folks know, if you guys are enjoying both of our runners here, be sure to give both Gingerdamus and GeminiQvQ a follow on Twitch. They're racing hard for your entertainment, so show them some love, folks.
So Gemini is going to be going... I'm actually not sure where Gemini is going. Oh, yeah, to check the cave south of Haunted Grove. And no, he's checked Magic Bat. So purple chest, probably, at this point.
Which is a good call, considering we know what's in that purple chest waiting for him. He definitely is going to want that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he will want to check the what I call the mirror cave, because it's the only cave that requires a mirror that we don't have another name for. And
it's mostly called the cave south of Haunted Grove, but because that's such a long name, in the spoiler log, I think it's called Cave 45.
Yeah, but I know our community's been trying to change that, so I'm calling it the Mirror Cave for that very reason. Ooh, and a fairy in a bottle. So not a bad find.
Oh no! Ginger getting jellyfish here.
Those jellies, not fun things to work with here. But he's got his map to pod. He's going to get his flippers here pretty soon. He's got his mirror. He's going to be feeling pretty good after this.
So Gemini is going to be picking up the flute. And interestingly enough, all right, so Turtle Rock is our blue pendant now.
Ooh, that's actually some good news. That means Turtle Rock may not be fully required. I mean, it is a pendant dungeon, and with Randomizer, you're almost guaranteed to have to go into a pendant dungeon at some point, but at least he won't have to go through all of it.
Not only that, but it has already given you the one medallion needed to get into it. It has given you the Cane of Samaria, and it has given you the Fire Rod. So you might think at this point, if he finds the hammer, that the likelihood of something being a little bit early in Turtle Rock might make it worth checking, just to see.
Yeah, you're not going to go all the way to Trinex, but you're probably going to go at least as far as Laser Bridge, in case there's any items of worth in there.
Yeah. Talking to Agahnim here, Gemini decides to get the joke, and it was quite the joke, let me tell you.
To answer a question in chat from Fluttershy here, yes, it's essentially a mod, a ROM hack that randomizes the items. There's actually links if someone wants to post those up in the chat that'll allow you to see how where to go to get it. You can play these randomizers yourself. We have many different varieties aside from the Keysanity version we're doing now. So you have plenty of ways to get in, and I really would recommend it. It's a lot of fun to play. And Gingerdamus is now going to check the checkerboard cave, finds a compass, says no thank you.
So Gemini activating the flute. I think that this will lead Gemini over towards the Misery Mire area as well.
Yeah, but Gingerdamus is actually going to take the play and head over to Desert. He's going to check the Desert Ledge. We haven't seen this yet. And it's a small key.
Maybe
what does it do?
Dark Palace.
Oh, hey, another pod key. That's certainly not bad.
Nope.
That'll put him up to 5 keys. Technically, out of logic, he has enough keys. He could full clear it since he knows what he's doing. But at the very least, that's still helpful nonetheless. And looks like Gemini is going to flute off. Where's he going?
So there's only
Looks like he's going to make the same play.
There's only 2 items right now that's in the logic in Desert, and that is the chest here that Ginger's going to, the big chest, as well as the big key for Eastern Palace. Okay, so the big chest there, as well as the I think it's the vanilla compass chest, or vanilla map chest is what it is.
Yeah. Speaking of a map, there's a map on the torch. Probably not going to be seeing that because, you need the boots for that, and we're still have not found those. But with the Eastern Palace Big Key, that opens that dungeon up completely to finish up. And we find the Ice Rod in Desert Palace. Not what we were hoping for, because that's going to tease them more towards Turtle Rock, which we know is the blue pendant.
So Eastern Palace, that's now able to be fully completed. We don't know whether or not Eastern is in fact a crystal or a pendant yet. So Ginger is going to be opting to actually complete the dungeon. Currently, that's something that is, again, a little bit outside the logic, because you're actually able to grab that small key and use it on the door to go to the vanilla compass room and the big key room. So whatever he finds here is going to lead him away from at least the Desert Palace small key.
Very true. However, we still don't know if Desert is crystal or pendant either, so this is a bit of a gamble for him. It's not a big gamble because this is a pretty easy dungeon to complete, but we don't know what this is, and it could be a waste of time in the long run.
It could also be the remaining pendant, and then you know that all the rest of them are crystals.
Well, we're about to find out here. Is Gingerdamus going to take on Landmolus? He's got silvers, he's got tempered sword, so this fight should be no problem whatsoever. And can he get the zero cycle? Not.
Unfortunately,
he got the hit, but not enough to kill him.
Yeah, unfortunately, holding the sword out, if you hit the Landmo in the face with the silver arrow, then there's a crystal. So if you hit the Landmo in the face with a silver arrow and then immediately tap it or poke it with a sword, and unfortunately cancels the damage from the silver arrow. So that is our next crystal here.
That's actually our first crystal for any of our runners, actually. Yeah. The only other dungeon we completed is Skull Woods, which was a pendant. So first crystal on the board here for Gingerdamus, and he's going to fight over to Eastern and see if that gamble pays off as well.
Yeah, Eastern is something that, again, is in the logic at the moment, so with the bow...
I just thought of something. They haven't turned in the green pendant yet, have they?
Nope, not yet.
He's going to route that in.
We're about to see a Sahashala check.
That's exactly what he's doing here. He's going to head down here. All right, old man, what you got for us? He has
just 20 rupees.
Wow.
I'm actually amazed that you're able to do that without some sort of machine.
I've had plenty of practice. You have no idea.
So we have Ginger, who's going to be going into Eastern Palace. Gemini, who's going to be also killing Landmo. So Gemini is going to find out that this is the crystal as well, or this is a crystal as well. So we have the only chest that they haven't checked in here is the big chest, and then of course killing the boss. So one of these items has to pretty much lead somewhere. I'm thinking that hammer is something that's going to be coming up fairly soon.
Yeah, we have not seen the hammer yet, and that's actually peculiar. Normally we would have found it by now after an hour in, but so I agree with you. I think we're going to be seeing it before too long.
To be honest, though, hammer is actually something that's a really nice troll item because it actually limits the places it can be. Hammer is required for so many dungeons, as well as some overworld locations. So it completely knocks out Turtle Rock from the mix because you need the hammer to get into it.
Exactly. Big 20 there from the big chest. You know what? I'm calling it right now. Hammer on Armos Knights. Calling it now.
I don't know. They can still go into Ice Palace, and that is already... That's something that they're actually pretty much able to complete minus the boss. They do have the big key, they have the small key, they have a way in with Fire Rod, they have the flippers, Titan's Mitts. So the only thing they're missing to complete it is the hammer, and I've seen the hammer being in there.
Oh, as have I, so I don't discount the idea. I just got a gut feeling that this is where the hammer's hiding. But we'll find out soon enough. Gingerdamus now going to head in there very shortly. Gemini right on his heels.
Yep.
Gonna fill up his arrows here. He's maxed out, and with silvers, this boss is a complete joke. One shot each, and they go down.
Oh, unfortunately, though, missing one of the shots. Oh, and there's the hammer.
Can I call him or can I call him? And it's the red pendant, which means we now know that every other dungeon, Swamp Palace, Mire, and Mire, are crystals. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, I've been found a witch who wishes to burn me.
So we have Ginger, who's going to be opting to go into Pod. Now I think is going to have 2 keys in order to complete it. With finding that last crystal, or that last pendant, knows that Pod is in fact a crystal, so is able to complete it right now because of the way that he originally routed the dungeon. With 5 keys, if you do the hammer jump, you're able to actually do this dungeon completely without having all 6 keys.
Yeah, 5 keys from what I've seen is more than enough to get through if you know what you're doing, if you can do the hammer jump, if you can route yourself correctly. So 5 keys is more than safe. So it's just a matter of now how easily can you do the Helmasaur King. But with, again, you've got Blue Mail, we're up to 11 hearts for Gingerdamus. And he's got Tempered Sword and Silver Arrows. Helmasaur should not be a problem for him. All right, and again, these 2 runners are pretty much right behind each other, because they're both doing the same routes. Gemini now also heading into Pod. They're pretty evened up. It's going to come down to execution at the rate these 2 are going.
So Ginger mirroring out is going to be heading towards Helmasaur right now, getting the remaining item there. We're still looking for Bombos for Misery Mire. We do require that because Misery Mire, we know, in fact, is a crystal. We are also looking for a Thieves Town big key at the moment, a Swamp Palace small key, and a Tower of Hera big key.
Indeed. In fact, you know what? I'm going to call it now. And I know the runners are going to hate me for this, but that Bombos medallion, it's in Turtle Rock. I'm calling it.
Something is in Turtle Rock. I feel like with the amount of items that we've gotten for Turtle Rock early on, and the amount... Turtle Rock has 12 chests, or 12 locations that can be checked. In Keysanity, because the maps and compasses and everything are spread out over the overworld, interestingly enough, in the open or standard, you'd have 6 items potentially in Swamp Palace, and I believe it's 6 items as well in Turtle Rock. Might be 5. I can't remember off the top of my head.
I believe it's 5.
Yeah, okay. So when you take out all the compasses and maps and keys from Turtle Rock, it goes from 5 items to 12. And because each chest in the game has a high chance, has the exact same chance of having an item in it, when you put such a high concentration of chests in one location, you're more likely to find something of value there. So that's why you generally tend to see, normally Turtle Rock has something.
Definitely not a surprise there, but we'll see how this plays out here. Gingerdamus now just getting close, getting into the last room here in Pod, ready to take on the Helmasaur King. 17 whacks with the hammer, and then only a few whacks with the tempered sword, or even just one shot with the silvers, and it's game over for the lizard.
So 17 hits on the head, or on the mask for Helmasaur to remove it. If Helmasaur is shooting out a fireball, you can actually use the 17th hit, like Ginger just did, to despawn the fireballs using one quick silver arrow to the jewel. And Helmasaur is down.
Very nicely done there by Gingerdamus, and he gets 50 rupees. But he also does get his third crystal. So nicely done there, as right as he does that, Gemini right on his heels, now taking on the lizard himself, and probably will have a very similar experience given how good he's been doing so far.
Gemini right behind here just gets that one silver arrow in as well. And Helmasaur down for Gemini as well. So looks like we're going to see the Ice Palace play here.
Yep, that's where Ginger seems to be heading at this point. Not a bad call. Again, plenty of chests here in Ice Palace. You've got the means to full clear it. We know it's a crystal. I honestly don't see any reason to not make this play. Plus, you've got the Fire Rod and Half Magic, so going through this dungeon will not be very difficult for either of our runners.
So, and just a reminder that Gemini did not get the information on the red crystal. Oh, but no, he actually got the pendant, so it doesn't matter anymore. Gemini doesn't know which dungeon is the red crystal yet, because he did not talk to the bomb shop. So it could be interesting if he happens to accidentally pick that up, if there's something good at the Pyramid Fairy.
Not a very common thing to see, though. It's even in Keysanity, it's often very rare for the Pyramid Fairy to have anything, surprisingly. I've yet to see it really fully pay off. I mean, there's been a couple keys in there every once in a blue moon, but in terms of big progression items, it still is not a very high probability. But nonetheless, both of our runners now in the Ice Palace, which I always get a laugh out of because I live in Florida, and the hockey arena in our in our city of Tampa is actually called the Ice Palace.
I was about to say, be very careful what we're about to say about hockey, because.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna say anything bad. I mean, the Tampa Bay Lightning is actually a pretty decent team overall, so I got nothing bad to say about hockey in our area. But
so
yeah.
Ginger, knowing that he's gonna have to full clear the dungeon, is not doing the bomb jump with the Cane of Samaria. Oops.
You forgot something there, Ginger?
You forgot the switch. The door isn't gonna open itself. And now, not being able to hookshot across, I'm gonna use the Cane of Berna in order to get through that without taking damage or falling off the edge.
Nice spin strats there on those penguins. With Tempered Sword, you can knock those guys out in one good spin slash, so very nicely done. As he continues to search for more items here. This particular part of this dungeon is where all the items tend to hide.
So Gemini is instead opting to do the bomb jump, which is normally only handy if you're going straight to the boss. At the moment, because you have to full clear the dungeon, it really doesn't save you very much time, if any.
Not really. But we'll see how it works out for him. There's the other single rupee there for Ginger. There's two of those in the game, and we've already found the single arrow earlier. I believe that was in the Paradox Cave, if I recall correctly.
Yep.
So still searching for him. Ooh, we got a small key to Tower of Hera, so that means the basement's now in play.
Yep, but still no big key, which is really what they need. Small key just might lead them to another potential item, so...
We'll have to see. There's still a few more items here in Ice Palace to check.
Yep.
And we find just a 5er.
Yeah, we're starting to get our our small rupee drops here. We found a lot of the
they've got more than enough
early.
rupees at this point.
Yeah, we found a lot of the 20s early on. No boots still. So reminder, we still have the small key that's sitting at the lumberjack cave, which could be Swamp Palace. Oh, never mind.
Whoa.
It
Soccer,
cannot be.
Soccer, you have now suffered from a case of what I like to call foot-in-mouth disease.
It cannot be the Swamp Palace small key, so I definitely said that in advance. You just only heard the Ken. The knot must have got cut out by Discord.
And now the chat's calling you the witch. All right, now we've got this one chest here, and it's the big key for Thieves Town.
That's actually really nice. Yep.
Yeah, because that is our other Pyramid Fairy crystal, so you definitely want to make sure you have that.
The only big key... Sorry?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say the only big key they really don't want to see is Turtle Rock at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of good that it's been eluding them.
They need the big key for Tower of Hera still. But that's going to be what their last big key is that they need. Everything else they have found already. Even the Swamp Palace big key.
Yeah.
Swamp Palace does have 8 items in it. So actually I think 9 with the front key, if I'm not mistaken.
Truth be told, let's see, if we're looking at our items right, we don't absolutely need the boots unless that small key is something important. But in terms of everything, we are just one big key away from go mode.
They need bombos.
Oh yeah, that's right. They need bombos. So
yeah.
We're one big key and one medallion away from go mode. That's pretty good, all things considered, how far in we are. So Ginger now taking on Coldseer. Couldn't quite get the corner set up there for him, but gets a very nice kill nonetheless. And again, Gemini right on his heels. And there's bombos! So that puts Misery Mire now in play here as potential dungeon. So that means they've got options here. You can go to Swamp, you can go to Thieves Town, or you can go to Mire. Any of those dungeons can be full cleared at this point. Thieves Town being the only one you can't 100% full clear because you still haven't found the small key for it, but that's a small thing no matter what.
Gemini also right behind with the Coldseer kill. So both these runners actually fairly neck and neck here. So at this point, Gemini has the option to go to Swamp Palace, and both of them have the option to go to Swamp Palace or to go to Misery Mire. And Ginger looks like he's going to be going to Swamp Palace. I wonder if Gemini will decide to go to Misery Mire now that they have access to it. Because we are just looking for the Tower of Hera big key at this point. Also, even Thieves Town might have something good. So looks like they're actually both going to Swamp Palace.
Not a bad call to make. It's a pretty quick dungeon overall, and there's plenty of items to find in here. So the odds of them finding the Tower of Hera big key, which is the last key they need, it seems like a viable play. To answer your question, chat, who's in the lead right now? It's pretty neck and neck. Both of our runners are pretty much right next to each other here. Gemini is maybe only a few seconds behind, which is really interesting. It's very rare to see runners stay this close together in a race like this.
Well, we've seen a lot of runners also. Ooh, hello, Buttersword. We've also seen a lot of runners studying their opponents. So one of these runners might actually be familiar with the other one's routing and might be routing according to that knowledge as well. We have 20 rupees in the second chest here. So Swamp Palace currently 10 items that you can actually find in here. Thieves Town, they have 4 that they haven't checked, and Misery Mire has 8 items that can be found in there. So Yeah, it's interesting that they both decided to go to Swamp, which is something that when you're in Go mode actually is a lot faster than having to search through the entire dungeon. Thieves Town is one you have to do in its entirety, basically, because you have to bomb open the wall upstairs, you have to pick up the maiden, you have to drop her off. So in terms of dungeons that you have to do in not Go mode versus Go mode, I think I would have chosen to do Thieves Town first, just in case the big key is in there.
I can definitely understand that argument, and I can agree to some extent. However, there is one argument to be made that because they don't have that small key, they don't want to go in there and risk having something be in that big chest and not be able to get to it.
That's true.
So that might be what their thinking is on this one. Make sure you have that key, because going back to that big chest, if you have to come back later, is a pain in the butt. And I've seen many races determined by something being in that chest and not having access to it.
So with there's actually normally different routes that you can take in Swamp Palace based on there's Quake Medallion. Based on how many items you need. If you only need one item, you'll generally find that most runners will just go up to Argus. If it's a crystal, kill Argus and come back in for the left side. Because if you happen to find the big key on the way to Argus, it'll save you time. And so that's kind of, I think, what we're seeing from Ginger's side. We'll get to see Gemini looks like they're going to be going to left side. So
we finally got some divergence here. Also, we should note that that heart container we found in the bottom end of Swamp was actually the Sank heart, which is the only full heart container that will automatically refill your health no matter what. So we'll see how that plays out later on. Big 20 and another heart container for Ginger. Still not finding much yet, unfortunately. This dungeon's turning to be a bit of a wash. All right, let's see what we find here. There's the compass for Easter. Well, that's pretty much useless at this point.
You know what would be the worst is if the Tower of Hera big key is in his vanilla location.
Oh! Downstairs in the basement, that's just cruel.
They do have the small key. It is a possibility. I definitely don't wish it upon them. But
nobody likes doing the basement.
Yeah. That's something that is currently available to them. So it's gonna all come down to gambles and execution at this point. Once Swamp Palace is done, we know that on the way to Argus there's nothing, but Argus might have that big key.
We'll find out here. Gingerdamus taking him on now with that butter sword and silver arrows. Very easy fight here.
Having some calamari for dinner.
I'll go for some of that. 2 nice spin slashes. Let's see what he drops. Got to find a 5 air bomb upgrade. And big map for Eastern. Again, that's pretty pointless at this point. And some code red for Gemini.
Yeah, nothing on the left side for Swamp Palace. So Swamp is not the place that they need that big key for. Or Swamp is not the place that they need for finding the big key. There we go.
So, personally, considering Thieves Town we don't have the small key for, my next play would be Misery Mire. They've got the means to full clear it. I'd go there.
And Ginger opting to skip left side entirely, goes straight to Misery Mire.
Considering that we know there's nothing on the left side, this actually is going to be a very smart play for him. That's going to extend his lead, and he's not going to miss out on anything for it. It may eat away the back of his mind a little bit, but all things considered, once he finds that last big key, he's going to know he made the right call.
The scary thing is if it is in fact, sorry. The scary thing is if it is in fact in Tower of Hera, would he go back to Swamp or go to Tower of Hera first?
That is a very interesting choice. All right, he's looking at his map to verify what do I need to do? What dungeon do I have to do? He does. I think he knows, since he's got the other pendant, he knows this is where he needs to be.
All right, so Ginger's going to be heading up to check the 8 chests or the 8 items in Misery Mire. Gemini, fairly close behind still, just going to be finishing up Swamp. So at this point, we'll get to see where Gemini decides to go.
Will he follow in Ginger's footsteps and go into Mire, or will he decide to make the gamble on Thieves Town? We shall see shortly, as Ginger now checking out one of his first chests here in Mire and finds just a 50 rupee drop. Again, we don't need any more rupees. We're good. We've got plenty.
I mean, at this point, at this point, even the key could be in Turtle Rock, in the first couple chests. So there's still a significant amount of places that this key can be. The only place it really can't be is Ganon's Tower and, at Moldorm.
Very true.
And the couple chests before Moldorm, but it can be in Tower of Hera. So Gemini is going to be heading over towards... actually, I'm not sure, because I think...
he's going to Lake Hylia Island. He's going to grab that small key, which we don't know what that is yet. If that's the Thieves Town big key, or small key, that might guide him on that path.
Yeah.
Bad call to make. So I don't see the problem. I don't see an issue with this play here.
I completely forgot this was a key up here. So... don't be Skullwoods.
It's
Pod. Yeah, Pod wasn't completable yet, according to the logic. I think that makes it fully completable at this point. So,
but we've already full cleared it anyway, so it's pretty much a useless key. So now the question is, where is either the small key to Thieves Town or the big key to Hera? We are still on the hunt for either of those. As Ginger now is making his way, I think he's pretty much down to, 2 chests or so? And I think he's kind of opting to skip those because I think he's heading right over to Victory. No, he's going down here. Forgot about this chest. He's out of key, so he's going the long way around. Gets 50 rupees from that. He can still check the big key here, or big chest here, which is what he's going to do. I honestly thought he would have gone this way around, but I guess you need the small key for that, so that's why he went the long way around. All right, what's up here? Just a piece of heart, so no items in. We've got 1 chest left in. Oh, and
he doesn't know. Oh no, he doesn't know that is a required crystal. Oh boy.
That could be trouble for him. He's gonna flute out.
Nope.
This could be Gemini's chance to catch up.
He knows. I think he knows now. He just saw that he has 2 pendants and that the last pendant was Turtle Rock. So why?
It's confusing guess there, but what this does is that gives Gemini a chance to catch up and take the lead here. If he clears this dungeon fully, finds that key, finds one of those keys, and continues on, he could be in good shape here. We'll see what happens. Ginger now going to head back into Thieves Town. He won't be able to check the big chest, but he will be able to clear the rest of it out. And who knows, maybe he'll get lucky. Folks are saying that this race is over for him. Don't count Ginger out just yet, folks. It's a bit of a mistake, but not a significantly large one. If he lucks out and finds the keys he needs here, then he can still take this race. It's far from over.
Exactly. And you have to remember, too, that he's going to look at his map. He's not going to go to Turtle Rock. That doesn't... he's not making a gamble on another dungeon. It's a little bit of a trek back to the boss of Misery Mire, but if he finds a key, then it can actually make it a little bit faster, and it's not too far out of the way. Not far enough that you should count Ginger out yet. It still is anyone's race.
I'd be a little more worried if he was like several dungeons behind and made a mistake like this, but these guys are pretty much neck and neck. So I see this being an okay mistake to make and not something that's going to completely kill him.
I'm pretty sure it's an okay mistake to make because he's not going to go... Like, he's not going to go to Turtle Rock, and so eventually he's going to run out of crystals and realize, oh shoot, Misery Mire's a crystal. So, like, it's not like there's multiple pendants hidden in the world still. It's just one, and it's not really hidden.
Exactly. Like I said, and with how close he is right now, it's not going to cost him more time than he can't afford. He can't afford much, but he can afford a tiny thing like this and be okay. We'll see how this plays out here, as Gemini still hasn't found much on Mire either on his end. So really, it's not hurting Ginger all that much. He hasn't missed anything essential just yet.
So without the small key, Ginger is not going to be able to check the big chest here. So we're going to see the item that's at the maiden and then the item that's on blind. And hopefully, we could actually find the small key for Thieves Town at the maiden. That's the vanilla location.
That's very true. And it's looking that way. Let's see what he finds here. It is a
big key. Tower of Hera.
Tower of Hera.
That is, yep, exactly what he needed. That is a great place. I was mentioning earlier that it would be probably a good idea to go to Tower of Hera first. And this is literally the reason why.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you check your... I'm going to call it. If you check your watches right now, ladies and gentlemen, do you know what time it is? Because as far as I can see, it's go-mo time.
Yep. Go-mo for Gingerdamus. Gemini, I'm sure, will be very close behind. After Misery Mire, his only other dungeon is going to be Thieves Town that he can fully complete. So... But again, one of those dungeons that you have to full clear pretty much in order to get to the boss and complete. So if they would have gone here first, would have been able to just go mode swamp.
And yes, ladies and gentlemen, for those asking, I have changed my go mode call. It's a new tournament. I thought I'd change things up a little bit, do something different.
I like it. My ears like it. Thank you. So Ginger now having the key. I wonder if he's gonna go to Tower of Hera or he's going back to Misery Mire. So I think that's the right play. Interestingly enough, Desert Palace still missing that small key for logic to be complete, for them actually completing that. So I'm curious to know where that went.
That's a very good question, honestly. But yeah, finishing up Mystery Mire, the reason why this is a good call for those curious is that what he can do from here is go to Dark Death Mountain, mirror to go to Hera, and then as soon as he finishes Hera, can go immediately back and straight into Ganon's tower. So that works out really quickly for him. Gemini finishing off Vitreous on his end, gets a big 21st troubles, but gets his next crystal. However, it's pretty clear his next play has to be Thieves Town. Also, we still have not found those boots yet, which I'm kind of wondering, because I've seen this happen already this tournament. Would the boots be on the pedestal?
Oh boy.
I've seen that happen. I actually calmed a race the other day where indeed boots were on pedestal, and we all got a good chuckle out of that one. Because nobody could check it.
They don't need them, so we probably won't see them. I doubt that they're going to go out of their way to check any extra chests, unless like Moldorm has it. But there really is no need for them to find them at this point. It would be nice if they did. It would be nice for them if they did, but at this point, I don't see any of them going significantly out of their way to do so. Gemini looking like... Oh no, Gemini's going to Peg Cave.
Ooh.
So this is going to help make up the extra time that Gingerdamus is using by, mirroring out of Misery Mire. So this is going to all come down to execution at this point. Gemini is guaranteed if they go into Thieves Town to find that big key. So... And just a reminder, you guys were calling out it being GG for Ginger.
Yeah, what did we say earlier? So, you guys are saying rip Ginger. No, not yet.
Yeah, Ginger, definitely.
With as close as it was, it's not over until someone got done. Thankfully, with these silvers for both runners here, this fight with Vitreous is, again, a complete joke. One shot on each eyeball.
Oh, nice dodging, though, of that lightning strike.
Very nicely done. 2 shots with the silvers, and down goes the big eyeball. He's going to get his big 20, and he is now just 1 tower of hair away from Ganon's tower.
So Gemini is going to pick up the small key up here to go down to save the maiden and open up that rooftop so that we can get some light in here. And Ginger is going to be heading up to Tower of Hera to complete their last crystal dungeon.
Yep, and odds are good. He's not going to even check all the chests in here either. He'll probably check 1 or 2 along the that are easy to get to. But I would be shocked if he actually goes out of his way to check the big chest. I don't see it happening. And yes, folks, we would say that Ginger is in the lead, but not by much. It's not a huge lead. If Ginger runs into any troubles with Troll Dorm or has any issues on Ganon's tower,
which we never wish upon anybody.
No, we don't wish it, but if it happens, Gemini could still catch up. But odds are good. Right now, it's down to execution. And wait, what, Ginger, what are you doing?
Ginger? Ginger is going into the dark world so that Ginger can immediately mirror over to...
I just said that's what they should do, and I didn't realize that's what he was doing. Wow, I am an idiot.
I will not comment.
Thanks for the vote of confidence here, Saku.
Anytime.
I just literally said that's what they should do, and he's doing it, and I don't realize it. Wow,
Alright, so Gemini is picking up the maiden here. This is where Gemini is going to find that big key. And that will put Gemini in go mode.
Absolutely. Go mode time for Gemini now. And he's not very far behind. He's only got Tower of Hera left after this, so they're both in really good shape here. And for a race like this, to have 15 minutes left, 15 minutes under 2 hours, that's pretty good.
Yeah, Keysanity has some interesting times. It can be anywhere from like an hour and 30 minutes to 2 hours and 30 minutes. So sometimes longer.
It's the average is around 2 hours though. So don't ever if you see someone pull around 130 for a Keysanity seed, they had the best of luck there. That is a jet seed through and through.
Or made the right calls. Sometimes you just make the right calls.
You make the right calls and you have a jet seed. There's because even if you make all the right calls, you could still see a 2 hour thing. He is skipping every chest. He's not even checking them.
Yep.
He figures he's got everything he needs, so he doesn't even care.
All right, so we're about to enter our first Moldorm fight here. So will Moldorm drop the boots? And then make this
and with Butter Sword, this should be a really quick fight here. Very
nicely done.
Very nicely done. All right, what you drop there, Patrol Dorm?
10 arrow upgrade. Boo! Troll Dorm.
No boots here. And if they're in Ganon's tower, odds are good we're not going to be seeing him. Gingerdamus now has everything he needs. He's got his last crystal. He's already got the GT big key. He's going to go straight up the gauntlet.
Yep. And
It's
even
all
has
down
2
to
small keys, so it's literally perfect. I see we have our guessing game in chat. Where do you think the big key is not going to be? Oh, I see some zeros. You guys are guessing wrong. They already found it, so it is 0. I said, where is it not going to be?
Well, technically 0 could be anywhere, so technically it could be right. All right, so Gingerdamus now heading up the gauntlet, and look at think of the loadout they've got. They've got Butter Sword. They've got at least Blue Mail. They have the Mirror Shield. They have the Silver Arrows, and they've got at least 14 hearts going into this. You know, aside from Red Mail, you couldn't ask for a better loadout.
We might see them opt to open the Moldorm 2 chest just to see if they can get red mail, but I doubt that anybody is going, unless they're uncomfortable with their Ganon fight, we will probably not see them open up any more chests along the gauntlet.
Yeah, but given the fact that they have the Butter Sword, I would be surprised if anyone was not confident with this fight. I mean, these are some good runners here. And Butter Sword and Silvers just makes that fight almost a joke. So I wouldn't worry too much about these guys. They're probably not going to be checking.
So we're seeing a very nice gauntlet here. Having half magic and the fire rod makes this a little bit easier. Also having the Butter Sword makes this even more easy.
Yeah, like I said, you could not ask for a better loadout going into this gauntlet here with these guys. You know, all of these weapons at their disposal, just blazing through, no trouble at all. Just going to run right past the bunny beam. Oh, he's actually going to powder it. Now, this is going to reset the pattern. If you get the bunny beam, if you leave the bunny beam alone, all 3 land mole 2 pops up worms will pop out immediately, but with the bunny beam powdered, it does reset that. So he got lucky that they came out all at once, but he still couldn't quite get the quick kill on it.
I actually have to correct you on that one, because that's actually not how it works. So what happens is when you walk into the room with the bunny beam, that is when the counter starts for the Landmo 2 fight. And if you actually powder that bunny beam, you'll have multiple Landmo heads spawn at the exact same time, making it actually a more difficult fight. So you'll see most of the runners opt to skip powdering that, even if they have a little bit low hearts, because it just makes the Landmo fight more difficult. So that's actually how that particular room works.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I don't speedrun, because trying to memorize stuff like that would have driven me up a wall. Saku, you certainly know this game better than I do.
I tend to speedrun it sometimes.
Yeah, I follow your channel, I know.
So Ginger is going to be heading up to the last few rooms here before Agahnim 2. So we have a key that is available in this next room, but with 2 small keys, probably going to opt to skip killing these 2 enemies. Yeah, because there's no need to pick any more keys up, and without knowing where your opponent is, you know, when you're heading up the gauntlet, your first thing is you're probably, you know, every couple seconds looking over at your IRC going, oh, did they dot done yet? Did they dot done yet?
Oh, absolutely. I don't care how good of a run you've had. You always feel like your opponent is doing just that much better. Oh, and Troll Arm strikes!
No.
And I've said this before, but I have yet to interview a single runner who did not feel like they were behind going into land mode or going up into Ganon Tower. They always feel like they're behind, no matter how good of a run they've had. So yeah, you always feel like you have to rush at this point.
So we have Gemini who's going to be Gemini is going to be heading into the land mode 2 as Ginger finishes up the Moldorm 2 fight. Ginger is going to be able to go into the Agahnim 2 fight. There's a couple different ways actually that you'll see players do this fight. One is the normal way, which is slashes and spins, and then there's also the swag way, which is the swagnet dash, or the net spins. So again, Ginger, worried about where his opponent is going to get these spins going on, and instead of doing some swaggy strats, gets one blue ball. Unfortunately, I think the first hit that he had there with the 2 beams, I think they counted as 1 because they were just timed so close together. That was 2.
Yeah, it's very tricky to get a triple hit, though I have seen it done. In fact, I saw a race yesterday where someone got 2 triples in one run and was able to finish off Agahnim in 2 cycles, which is super rare given how RNG works. But he does take down Agahnim, ladies and gentlemen. So now it's time for the big pig.
This is the point where, as a runner, and you haven't seen that dot done yet, you're kind of shaking. You're like really nervous. So this is always exciting. I don't know. I love the Ganon fight when races are so close. So we have Gemini who's hopping into the Moldorm 2 fight, gonna get these 2 slashes with the Butter Sword, and does not get Trollormed, so gonna be hookshotting over to this chest here. Oop, Ginger has to be a little careful. I don't know if he got enough hits off on Ganon for that one.
Yeah, and unfortunately he has no bottles, so he's gonna have to be very careful here on not only his health, but his magic, to avoid running out. He does not have any safeties to rely upon, unlike Gemini, who does have 3 bottles going into this fight.
Yeah, but this starting now, it's a lot easier than the first 2. You just have to hit him 4 times for these tiles to drop, and then as long as you hit him before the fire bat goes out, then the last phase is a lot less challenging than, I would say, the circle of fire bats. Oop, there we go. Gets it. Gets the 1 hit in. Doesn't get the torch glitch. So, but with silver arrows and butter sword, that's going to be no big deal for him. Gemini finishing up the Aga 2 fight here. Oh, Ginger, you missed.
Careful.
Oh, but I think he gets... Oh, no. Ganon disappeared. Wow, that was close.
Yeah, but he's getting some hits in there. We go. Almost got it.
1 more. Lamps are out. Has to relight them again in order to do damage to Ganon.
Gets the shot, and we've got bacon!
GG. Gemini hopping into the Ganon fight right now. So... we're going to see Gemini does have a few bottles, nicely sets himself up to get the quick hits in on Ganon. When you're so close to a wall, if you get knocked back while you're hitting Ganon, then you aren't far enough away that it affects how many slashes you could do. But GG to Gingerdamus.
Indeed, finishing up with the official SRL time of 1 hour, 54 minutes and 7 seconds. Get your GGs in chat, ladies and gentlemen. Ginger will be joining us here in a couple minutes for an interview, and odds are good that Gemini will be right behind him as well, since he is already on the final phase of Ganon at this point. What a race.
That is actually a really, really close race. It's incredible. it really is incredible, and especially with mirroring out of Misery Mire, that was it's incredible.
And Gemini also getting a very nicely fight here. He's about to enter the room here as well. Once he does that, we'll get his time. And he goes in with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 8 seconds. Both of our runners getting a sub 2 hours. Very impressive, no doubt about it.
Yeah, GG to both the runners. They both did a fantastic job.
Both of our runners will be joining us here shortly for an interview, but definitely get your GZs in chat, ladies and gentlemen. An amazing race from both of our runners here. It's especially in a race like Keysanity, it's very rare to see a race that close, less than a minute apart, pretty much for both of our guys, or just over a minute apart, actually, literally. Let me see. Okay, Gemini is in here. Let's go ahead and move him in. And Gemini now joining us here in the channel. GG, Gemini.
Yeah, that was actually a really good Ganon fight. And we also have Ginger joining us in the chat here. Hello, Ginger. GG on the victory.
Thanks. GG to Gemini as well, and hi, Sakura and Shades. How are you guys today?
That was an incredibly close race. Oh my goodness.
Can I ask a really dumb question? Where's the red pendant?
Where's what?
Red pendant.
You have it.
I know I had it, but where did I get it? I thought it was a crystal. That's why I might mirror.
Eastern, I believe, was the red pendant.
Yeah.
Ah, thank you. I was so confused.
It happens, but aside from that, how do you guys feel about that seed?
Bit of a jet seed.
I mean, it was bootless, and that just feels really slow to me.
Yeah, we still don't know where they are. I'm actually watching the credits right now because I want to see if my theory holds true, because I think they're on the pedestal. It's not the first time I've seen that, so I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled it again.
Very fast for a bootless seed, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, both you guys sub 2 hours. That's impressive for a Keysanity race for both of you guys to be that close, especially only a minute apart. Really impressive job.
I suppose, did you get the green pendant by any chance?
I sure did. It was worth it.
Okay. Were we basically like right on top of each other the whole time?
Yeah, actually, you guys were pretty much neck and neck the entire race. Gemini, I think you kind of just stayed behind him, a minute behind, almost the entire race. It was actually unique to watch, and it was just a key on the pedestal. We don't even know what it was a key to.
Probably Misery Mire Skullwoods. I think Skullwoods because we didn't even find a small keeper there.
Probably.
I think the thing I would have done differently, like thinking about it, is probably saving Mire for last, because going into it, I was thinking, I have 0 keys. There's such a low chance of anything at all being here. But I don't really have that much experience skipping Mire chests in the middle of the seed like that, so I just didn't take the chance.
Definitely similar for me. As I alluded to a minute ago, I was in Mire and for some reason convinced myself it was a pendant, forgetting I had red pendant. So I got big chest and well, nothing to see here, and jumped out and ran to Thieves Town. And halfway through Thieves Town, I started counting. I'm like, no, I have a red pendant. Uh-oh.
Yeah, actually, that was a question I wanted to ask you. Is what made you mirror out of Misery Mire? But yeah, that explains it. And actually, when you checked your map, I saw the blue pendant when you left Misery Mire, and then changed your inventory to flute. I had wondered if maybe you had saw that you had red pendant and the green and red and green pendant already, and maybe that was what made you realize it. So
I was a little bit slower on the uptake, but you're pretty much correct. I was somewhere in Thieves when I saw a red pendant. I'm like, no, that's 3. I gotta go back to Mire. But on the bright side, I probably would have done vanilla big chest if I'd have stayed there, and I get to skip that, so I don't think I lost that much time, question mark. Still a bit,
Actually,
but not a ton.
I just realized there's one location that the boots could be hiding in that we never checked. Neither of one of you ever went into Turtle Rock since it was the blue pendant. I'm willing to bet that's where the boots were hiding.
Yeah, there was a lot of places that they still could have gone. There's a lot of items we still didn't find. We didn't check the entirety of Ganon's tower, except for one chest. But yeah.
Yeah, I was really worried that I would like miss the boots somewhere, and my opponent had it the whole time.
Same feeling with me, man. I was like, oh, there's definitely one thing I didn't do, and he has the boots and he's 10 minutes ahead. It's like how I always feel in the blind races. Like, I don't know.
I was really weary about stepping into Thieves Town because that stupid chest always screws me over. So that's why I did everything except Thieves Town.
Yeah, it was nice to see Hera Big Key in Thieves Town. I was very surprised. I was like, oh, I think go mode. That's kind of early, but I'll take it.
Yeah, it was honestly, it was a fantastic race. You guys had been, neck and neck for a vast majority of it. Completing dungeons one after another, but the exact same dungeons. It was crazy. One of the interesting thing is that Ginger, once you had gone into Swamp, you had just gone straight to Argus, where Gemini you had done left side of Swamp first before going to Argus, and Ginger, when you finished it, instead of going and checking left side, opted to just skip over to Misery Mire. So that was interesting.
Yeah, I had so much to see left, and I kind of felt like I was behind after I had done the Frogward tour and the lunchbox without the mirror. And then when I found the mirror on Death Mountain that I logically could have had, I was like, oh, that's a couple minutes. I should probably... And so I decided to try and make that up on the Swamp Palace left side.
So one of the other things, Ginger, you did not talk to the bomb shop guy, honestly.
Yeah, I did. I talked to him like before, when I checked Hype Cave, before I save and quit, I ran up very quickly. I think I still had the frog with me at that point.
No, you went to the bomb shop, but you did not. We were watching. You did not talk to him.
You bought bombs and then left.
That might have been me, actually.
Oh, okay, so Gemini.
Yeah, it was Gemini that did.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh,
yeah.
Sorry. Okay, then Gemini. Sorry. Yeah. I was actually wondering what was the logic behind that. You went into the shop, bought the bombs, and then immediately left. I was really confused.
So, two things. One, I'm actually not used to checking that guy for the crystal info. That's just something I realized today, actually, and it wasn't in my muscle memory, so I didn't do it. The other thing is, in Keysanity, I'm actually not that bothered with what dungeons are to begin with. If a seed leads me to a dungeon, I'm going to do it, like regardless whether it's a crystal or a pendant, until later in the game, which is why you didn't see me check the map until very late, because it wasn't actually a factor until then.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this race was crazy how close. And your collection rate, just wanting to point that out, 143 out of 216, Gemini with 147 out of 216. Super close, your in-game time also being just about a minute off from each other. It's crazy how close this was.
That's awesome. I can't wait to watch the VOD.
I guess my only regrets was that it might not have been that interesting to watch due to lack of boots. It just felt like a slow stroll the whole time.
Yeah, lack of boots, that was something we kind of figured early on that because you found the Ganon's Tower Big Key so early, and then you went into Desert Palace and it was a map on the torch there. Like, okay, probably not gonna find the boots unless there's something at the Bonk Rocks or King's Tomb. And turns out you guys found everything that you needed fairly early on, so that was good. Yeah, it was just that big key, those big keys, the shining figure of Keysanity here.
I actually kind of felt like it was raining big keys in the seed.
It was actually you had all of them except for Turtle Rock and Tower of Hera for a long time. So it was like, well, the last thing we want to see is that Turtle Rock big key. We want to see the Tower of Hera one. So when you open the chest for Thieves Town right beside the Maiden, it's like, oh, yep, there it is. Last big key.
To be honest, I would never have gone Turtle Rock until I had finished all the Crystal Dungeons anyway. So if that had been the case, I mean, if the Hera Big Key had not been in Thieves Town and I had no Crystal Dungeons left, like, Turtle Rock is an easy choice.
Yeah, you did only have 2. I feel like if you had more small keys and maybe the Turtle Rock Big Key, it might have been something that you might want to go into. But
yeah, I mean, with 2 small keys and the Big Key, you can get everything in there except 2 things.
yeah, but you didn't even have the Big Key. So
yeah.
It would just be the couple items at the beginning of the dungeon. Luckily, having the fire rod and whatnot, though, you'd be able to get the items on the right side there. But yeah, it was a great race, you guys. You guys had a lot of anything that you guys want to comment about the seed.
I was very happy to get trolled by Hammer for that long, and I don't say that often. But I went up Dark Death Mountain being like, okay, I'm going to Turtle Rock, and then about halfway up I realized, wait a second, I can get into Turtle Rock. And I saw I had the magic, and I'm like, oh, especially later in the scene, I'm like, I dodged a bullet, because I was dead set.
Yeah, that was something I think that we had mentioned earlier, was that Hammer is one of the nice things to be trolly, because it locks out a lot. Almost all of Swamp Palace and, the entirety of Turtle Rock, few overworld locations. So it's one of the nicer items instead of like Ganon's Tower Big Key, which can be pretty much anywhere.
Anyway, why don't we go ahead and give a rundown about what's going on. First of all, if you guys enjoyed our runners here today, make sure you give both Gingerdamus and GeminiQvQ a follow on Twitch. Show them some love. Of course, shout outs to our tracker, Dude, who is an amazing tracker, probably one of the best in our group. So definitely glad to be working with him once again. And of course, myself and my co-commentator, Sakura Tsubasa, give us all a follow. And make sure you also give a follow to all of our speed gaming channels, Speed Gaming 1 through 4 and ALTTP Randomizer 1 through 4. And to give you an idea of just how insane this tournament's going right now, we actually have a race halfway through right now on Speed Gaming 3 between Aktabacher and Kepasagi happening that started at 3. We also have a race just starting right now between Demon RHK and Yumi Sabasa over on Speed Gaming 4. And I'm going to try to list as many of these races as I can. We have a quad race starting up at 8. Pika Pals versus DVO XS and Raspberry Flute versus Lord of the Synth over on ALTTPR 1. And then we also, at ALTTPR 2, we have another quad race, Mr. Barry Bonds and Nox, as well as Aces High 76 and Spooty Biscuit. And again, at the same time, at 8 o'clock, we also have another quad race on ALTTPR 3, Sir Heavens versus Magus 1, and JLo 7 versus Karnath AFD. And we're not done yet, folks! 9 o'clock, we have a race between Oyster SA and Zaphod Beeblebrox on Speed Gaming, as well as Sabotender versus Hitaka. And on Speed Gaming 4, we have another quad race. Ventalis versus MathGirl718, and Vulagin versus Wolfie83. And finally, at 11 o'clock on ALTTPR 1, we have Jay Coper versus Sidariel. That is all just today. If I were to go through all the races going on this week, we'd be here all afternoon. So make sure you follow all of our channels so you can keep up with all of the races going on. Make sure you check the Speed Gaming schedule for not only this tournament, but for all of the other race tournaments going on at the same time. So much going on. But Sakura, it has been an absolute pleasure working with you this afternoon.
Thank you. It's been very nice commentating with you as well. And I hope that, and I want to also say thank you again to Dude, because tracking is an incredibly valuable resource to everybody in the race, both the viewers and the commentators. Honestly, I had totally missed where we had found out about the red crystal for Thieves Town. So without my incredible tracker, wouldn't be
They
able
are the
to.
unsung heroes of the
Yep.
randomizer, without a doubt.
So thank you so much again. And thank you everyone for watching. Super great race again, runners. And I will see you at the next race.
Rock on, everybody!